Right now, you are being observed by an intelligence so advanced, it has quarantined our entire solar system. This isn't fantasy, but a disturbing hypothesis that finally answers the single most haunting question we've ever asked. Where is everybody? Right now, you are being observed. The Great Silence, not by a government, but by an intelligence so advanced, it has quarantined our entire solar system. They have been watching us for millennia, and they've decided to leave us completely, terrifyingly alone. This isn't fantasy. It's a disturbing hypothesis that answers the single most haunting question we've ever asked. Where is everybody? Those three words contain one of your most unsettling mysteries, the Fermi paradox. At first, it sounds simple. Maybe we're just the first. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? But the math doesn't agree. With the vast scale of the universe, and the incomprehensible 13.8 billion years since the Big Bang, intelligent life should not just be possible, it should be inevitable. You should be surrounded by evidence of alien civilizations. Your radio telescopes, pointed at the heavens for decades, should be flooded with their transmissions. But the universe remains silent, eerily silent. The implications of this question have only grown more troubling as your understanding of the cosmos has expanded. Every discovery you make reinforces how perfect the conditions seem to be for life to flourish. You now know that potentially habitable exoplanets exist in staggering abundance. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Kepler Space Telescope alone identified thousands of worlds orbiting distant suns, many in the Goldilocks zone, where liquid water could pool on their surfaces. The chemical building blocks of life, forged in the furnaces of ancient stars, are distributed widely across the interstellar medium. Life, it seems, should be everywhere. This cosmic quiet becomes even more mysterious when you consider the mathematics of expansion. Fermi himself recognized that even with modest rocket technology, a single ambitious civilization could colonize the entire Milky Way galaxy within a few tens of millions of years. It sounds like a long time, but on a cosmic scale, it is a mere blink compared to the billions of years that intelligent life has had to develop and spread. So you look. You search for the grand signatures of astroengineering projects that an advanced civilization would inevitably undertake. You see no Dyson spheres harvesting the energy of entire stars. You detect no signals from thousands of different species. You find no evidence of technologies that would reshape whole regions of space. The heavens are exactly as you would expect them to be if you were completely, utterly alone. This is the Great Silence. It is the contradiction that sits at the heart of modern astronomy. The universe appears to be perfectly primed for life, yet at the same time, it appears to be completely empty. The explanations range from the optimistic to the terrifying. But in 1973, a new hypothesis emerged, suggesting you are not alone at all, that the silence you observe is not an absence, but a presence. A deliberate, carefully maintained quarantine, a cosmic cage. The cosmic preserve. The idea of a cosmic zoo sounds ridiculous. It's the kind of thing you'd dismiss as cheap science fiction. You are a human, a conqueror of your planet, the master of your destiny, but when you wish to understand the natural behavior of a reclusive species, you do not march into its territory with bright lights. You build camouflaged blinds. You observe from vast distances. The cardinal rule is to observe without being observed. Now, imagine scaling this fundamental principle of non-interference up to a cosmic, galactic proportion. In 1973, a Harvard astrophysicist named John A. Ball proposed a radically different explanation for the Great Silence. He called it simply the zoo hypothesis. The concept is elegant and profoundly unsettling. What if advanced extraterrestrial civilizations are perfectly aware of your existence, but they have made a deliberate, collective choice to avoid all contact? What if they have designated Earth as a cosmic preserve, effectively quarantining your entire solar system? In this scenario, you are the protected species. You are the subject of intense, unseen study, left to develop on your own, completely unaware that you are being watched at all times by unseen rangers, maintaining your isolation. You are, in effect, living inside a cosmic zoo. Their technologies would, by necessity, be billions of years ahead of your own. Their methods of camouflage would not be mere paint and netting, it would be a mastery of physics you cannot yet comprehend. They could be studying you with technologies so advanced that you are fundamentally incapable of detecting their presence. Their observation posts might exist in other dimensions or operate outside the electromagnetic spectrum you scan. To your telescopes, their presence would be indistinguishable from the natural, empty background of the universe. The motive for this non-interference is not necessarily malice. In fact, it could be a form of profound, cosmic compassion. You have learned from your own bitter experience on Earth that when a technologically advanced civilization encounters one that is less advanced, the consequences for the latter are almost always catastrophic. Entire cultures can collapse under the weight of technological or philosophical shock. Social structures that evolved over millennia can disintegrate in a matter of decades. Perhaps advanced civilizations have learned this same hard lesson on a galactic scale, time and time again. From this perspective, maintaining your isolation is not an act of cosmic indifference. It is a form of ethical protection, a prime directive designed to shield developing civilizations like yours from the potentially devastating consequences of premature contact. This hypothesis forces you to re-examine your own cosmic significance. John Ball himself acknowledged how psychologically uncomfortable this idea feels. You are straining your ears to hear even a whisper from the cosmos, while they may be watching your every move, treating your entire world as a fragile, protected ecosystem. This benevolent interpretation is a comforting assumption. It presumes the watchers are your rangers, but the analogy of a controlled preserve has another, more clinical, and far more sinister variation. After all, you do not just observe animals. You also experiment on them. So, are you a protected species? Or are you just? Phase 1. What if your zookeepers are not benevolent rangers? The laboratory. What if they are clinical researchers and your world is not a preserve, but a laboratory? In this scenario, you are not a protected species. You are the unwitting subjects of an experiment so vast it spans your entire planet and your entire history. This is the laboratory hypothesis, a far darker and more disquieting variant of the zoo concept. It reframes the motive for your isolation from one of compassionate protection to one of cold, detached scientific inquiry. Your observers are not protecting you for your own good, they are studying you for theirs. If this were true, every aspect of your civilization would become a data point. The experimenters might be conducting controlled studies on consciousness, technological development, sociology, or biological evolution. And in an experiment, the researchers do not merely observe, they introduce variables. They manipulate the conditions to test the subject's responses. From this chilling perspective, your history may not be entirely your own. The sudden, inexplicable leaps in human development might not be the product of spontaneous human genius, but of subtle external intervention. The Neolithic Revolution, when your species suddenly pivoted from nomadic hunting to settled agriculture, could have been a deliberate introduction of a new variable. The great philosophical and religious movements that reshaped human thought, were they organic or were they stimuli, designed to see how your social structures would react? Even your greatest moments of inspiration might be suspect. The simultaneous discovery of calculus by Newton and Leibniz might not be a simple case of convergent development, but a test to see if the concept would take in different cultural environments. The ultimate goal might be to understand the conditions necessary for a species to successfully transition from a planetary to an interstellar civilization. Or, more unsettlingly, to understand the conditions that cause them to fail. Your current struggles with nuclear weapons, planetary climate, and global pandemics might be the experimental stress test. The observers may have introduced these challenges deliberately to see if you can solve them. In this scenario, their silence is not about protection, it is about protecting the data. Direct contact would be the ultimate contamination, ruining millennia of research. You are kept in isolation, not out of kindness, but out of methodological necessity. You are an unaware test subject in an experiment whose purpose and parameters you cannot, and are not meant to, comprehend. These theories, the benevolent preserve and the clinical laboratory, both rest on the same core assumption, that the silence is a choice. But there is a third, even more sobering possibility. A possibility that suggests you aren't being watched at all, that the silence isn't a quarantine, it's a graveyard. This forces you to ask a question far more terrifying than are we being watched. The question is, are we next? The great filter. The immediate, almost comforting answer is no. You want to believe the silence just means you're special, the first. But what if the great silence is not a choice made by hidden observers? What if it is not a quarantine, but a graveyard? This chilling alternative suggests the cosmos is quiet because something, somewhere along the path from simple life to galactic civilization, prevents intelligence from ever reaching a large-scale, detectable stage. This is the theory of the Great Filter. Proposed by economist Robin Hanson, the filter is not a physical wall, but an evolutionary or technological barrier so insurmountably difficult that virtually no species in cosmic history has ever successfully crossed it. The logic is simple. If life is common, but the galaxy is empty, something must be stopping it. This barrier is the Great Filter. It is the gauntlet that all life, including yours, must run, and a gauntlet that almost all life, apparently, loses. There are two profound possibilities, and the implications of each are staggering. The first, and in many ways the more optimistic scenario, is that the Great Filter lies behind us. In this view, you are the cosmic lottery winner. You are the statistical anomaly who, against all astronomical odds, managed to navigate the impossible. The filter could have been the very emergence of life itself from non-living matter. It could have been the leap from simple prokaryotic cells to complex eukaryotic cells, a transition that, on Earth, took nearly 2 billion years. It could be the evolution of consciousness. If any of these steps are vanishingly rare, then you are among the extraordinarily lucky few. You are, for all intents and purposes, the first. You become a cosmic orphan, precious and profoundly alone. But there is a second, far more horrifying possibility. What if the filter lies ahead of us? If this is true, then you are not lucky. You are simply doomed, walking blindly toward the same wall that stopped every civilization before you. What could this filter be? It would be a challenge so complex or so dangerous that it is, by its very nature, unsolvable for a young, fragmented civilization. Look at the existential risks you are only just beginning to face. The development of nuclear weapons, a technology capable of your own complete self-annihilation, the challenge of managing a planetary climate, the imminent arrival of artificial general intelligence. Any one of these could be the filter. This theory reframes the Great Silence. It is not the subtle quiet of a preserve, but the absolute deafening silence of a tomb. There are no zookeepers, no observers, and no experimenters. There is only you, and the ghosts of all those who came before. The Great Filter suggests the universe is empty because civilizations destroy themselves. But another theory proposes a far more active and more malevolent reason for the silence. What if the universe is not empty? What if it's full? And you just happen to be the prey? The dark forest. Imagine you are a lone hunter, moving silently through a vast, dark forest. You know with certainty that other hunters are out there in the blackness, but you cannot know their intentions. Your first instinct might be to call out, to find a friend, but your survival instinct knows better. The first and only rule of survival is to stay silent. Because the first to reveal their location is the first to be found. This is the terrifying logic of the dark forest hypothesis, a theory of cosmic sociology named after the haunting science fiction novel by Liu Cixin. It proposes a third, chilling explanation for the Great Silence. The universe is not empty, and it is not a benevolent zoo. It is a dark forest, teeming with hidden civilizations, all adhering to one, horrifyingly rational principle: hide or be extinguished. The logic is as cold and clean as interstellar space. It is a problem of game theory. When you discover another civilization, you face an impossible dilemma. You cannot be certain of their intentions. They might be peaceful today, but what about in a million years, when their technology has advanced beyond your comprehension? Even if they harbor no hostile intentions, their mere existence is an existential risk. Resources are finite. The drive to expand and survive is universal. Eventually, two growing civilizations will, inevitably, come into conflict. And because of the vast distances of space, there can be no real, reliable communication. There is no trust. The only way to guarantee your own species' survival is to strike first, to preemptively neutralize the potential competitor before they can become powerful enough to neutralize you. If every civilization, over millions of years of existence, eventually arrives at this same, unavoidable conclusion, the galaxy becomes a cosmic killing field. The first to be detected is the first to be removed. The Great Silence in this view is not the silence of an empty room. It is the heavy, calculated silence of a battlefield where everyone is in hiding, holding their breath. This theory reframes your entire search for extraterrestrial intelligence as an act of monumental, catastrophic naivety. For decades, you have been doing the one thing no survivor in the dark forest would ever do. You have been shouting. You have been beaming your greetings, your mathematics, and your music out into the void, announcing your location and your technological level to anyone who might be listening. From this perspective, your SETI efforts are not beacons of hope. You are a child, lost in the woods, lighting a signal fire, hoping for a rescuer, unaware that the woods are full of predators drawn to the light. The zoo, the filter, and the forest all offer starkly different explanations. But they are just theories, right? What happens when the theories stop and the evidence appears? What happens when you look up and your observers are already here? The unidentified visitors. For decades, you were told the phenomenon was fringe. You saw it as a subject of cultural ridicule, dismissed by your own officials. Now, after decades of that official denial, the United States government has released videos and sensor data confirming the reality of these unidentified aerial phenomena. United States Navy pilots, individuals with impeccable credentials, are coming forward with official reports describing physical craft that defy your fundamental understanding of physics. The objects documented in these encounters display flight characteristics that seem magical to your 21st century mind. They are reported to perform maneuvers that would subject any human pilot to debilitating G-forces, accelerating at rates that should tear apart any known materials. They are described as transmedium, moving seamlessly from the sky into the ocean, challenging your concepts of aerodynamics and hydrodynamics. They operate with no visible means of propulsion, no wings, no engines, no heat plumes. If you are living inside a cosmic preserve, this is exactly what you should expect. This is not the behavior of a first contact delegation. It is the behavior of surveillance. These are not ambassadors. They are automated probes, biological drones, or the unseen zookeepers themselves conducting reconnaissance. Advanced civilizations monitoring human military and technological capabilities would need to conduct regular missions to assess your development and potential threat levels. It is perhaps no coincidence that many of these encounters occur near sensitive military installations, nuclear weapons facilities, and during naval training exercises. They are not observing your culture, they are monitoring your capacity. They are watching your most advanced technologies, just as you would watch a new predator in an enclosure. From a zoo hypothesis perspective, such advanced capabilities are precisely what you would anticipate from intelligences that have had billions of years to develop. Their technology would seem like magic, just as your own technology would appear supernatural to a civilization from centuries ago. This alignment of real-world phenomena with theory is unsettling. It shifts the zoo hypothesis from an abstract thought experiment into a tangible, plausible explanation for events happening right now. It forces you to ask not just if you are being watched, but why. If these are the Rangers, what is their guiding principle? And what law are they enforcing? The Prime Directive. In the fictional universe of Star Trek, the Federation's most sacred law is General Order 1, the Prime Directive. It is a law of absolute, uncompromising non-interference with the natural development of less advanced cultures. It's easy to dismiss this as a convenient plot device for a television show. But what if this is not merely a compelling piece of 20th century science fiction? What if it is a chillingly accurate reflection of a real, established, galactic law? This idea provides the most compassionate motive for your quarantine. The silence you experience is not an act of cosmic indifference. It is an act of profound, calculated restraint. Your observers remain hidden not because they are callous, but because they are wise. They are protecting you, not from some external threat, but from themselves. You need only look at your own history to see the devastating consequences of premature contact. When technologically dominant civilizations on Earth have encountered isolated indigenous populations, the result has almost never been a peaceful merger of equals. The less advanced groups are almost always shattered. New diseases can cause catastrophic population collapses. Traditional cultures and social structures can disintegrate within a single generation. This is what researchers call ontological shock, the realization that one's entire worldview is fundamentally and devastatingly wrong. Now, imagine that scenario on a cosmic scale. Imagine the consequences for your species, young, volatile, fragmented by tribal politics, being confronted with an intelligence billions of years your senior. The revelation would be absolute. It would instantly shatter every religious, philosophical, and scientific framework you have ever built. It could halt your natural development or trigger global panic and social collapse. A truly advanced civilization would know this. They would see you as you see an uncontacted tribe, a culture to be studied, to be understood, and, above all, to be protected from the contamination of outside influence. This prime directive implies that quarantine is not permanent. It is a protective measure in place only until the developing species is deemed ready for contact. But what does ready mean? The criteria would not be technological. Your nuclear arsenal proves only that you are a danger to yourself. Perhaps the Watchers are waiting for you to achieve a stable, unified planetary government or to successfully manage the existential risks you yourselves create. They are waiting for you to become like them, a species that understands the profound responsibility that comes with great power. In this benevolent view, the zookeepers are not your captors, but your guardians, patiently waiting for you to grow up. But this theory rests on a massive logistical challenge. How could a perfect quarantine be maintained for millions of years without a single leak? It couldn't, unless the bars of your cage aren't physical at all. The invisible bars. The greatest challenge to the zoo hypothesis is not one of motive, but of logistics. How could a galaxy-wide agreement be maintained for eons? You know it's impossible. You know it only takes one dissenting civilization to break the quarantine. This assumes the zoo is maintained by agreement. But what if it is maintained by physics? When you think of hiding, you think in primitive, three-dimensional terms: cloaking devices, ships hidden behind moons. A civilization millions of years ahead of you would not be hiding in your universe. They might be operating from outside of it. Their camouflage would not be technology, it would be cosmology. Imagine your perception of reality, 3 dimensions of space, and one of time is merely a slice of a much larger, multi-dimensional cosmos. Your observers could be operating from a 4th or 5th spatial dimension, looking down on your entire universe as you would look down upon a flat drawing, all while remaining completely inaccessible to you. But the invisible bars could be even more fundamental. A sufficiently advanced intelligence might not just travel through space-time, it might engineer it. They could create a localized bubble of modified physics around your solar system. A carefully crafted distortion in the fabric of reality that isolates you. Any ship attempting to approach would be diverted. Any signal sent from your world would dissipate against this boundary. This leads to the most profound possibility. Physicists have long been puzzled by the fine-tuning of the universe. The fundamental constants, the strength of gravity, the speed of light, all seem impossibly precisely calibrated to allow for the existence of stars, planets, and complex chemistry. You explain this with the anthropic principle. The universe must be this way, or you would not be here to observe it. The zoo hypothesis offers a more deliberate and more unsettling explanation. What if this fine-tuning is not a cosmic coincidence, but an act of design? What if your observers tuned the laws of physics within your local region of space to create a perfect cosmic terrarium for life to emerge, while programming your reality to be blind to their existence? In this scenario, their camouflage is absolute. The universe you study, the laws you discover, the sky you map, all of it may simply be the interior of the enclosure. For a civilization with this level of capability, maintaining a zoo is not a complex conspiracy, it is a trivial act of cosmic creation. Such an intelligence would not be a mere zookeeper, it would be the architect of your reality. And this power reframes their observation. They are not just watching you, they are testing you. They are waiting for you to reach the one inevitable moment that every developing intelligence must face. The final exam. The final exam: nuclear proliferation, runaway climate change, the dawn of artificial general intelligence. You see these as separate, unrelated political problems to be solved. But what if they aren't? What if they are the final, convergent test for a species that has finally achieved the power to either transcend its planetary cradle or to extinguish itself completely? If you are being observed, this is the moment the zookeepers have been waiting for. This is the climax of the experiment. For the first time in your history, Your technological reach has become global, total, and existential. You have unlocked the atom, gaining the power to shatter your world in an afternoon. You have begun to alter your planet's climate, a test of your species' ability to cooperate in the face of a shared, self-inflicted threat. But it is your newest creation that represents the ultimate test. The development of artificial intelligence, and its rapid acceleration toward artificial general intelligence, is a challenge of a different order. This is not just a test of your power, it is a test of your wisdom. You are in the process of creating a new form of mind, a non-biological intelligence that could, within decades, surpass its creators. This is the great threshold. It is perhaps the very filter that has silenced the cosmos. If you are in a preserve, your observers are watching with unparalleled interest. They would have seen this moment before. They would have watched as other civilizations reached this same perilous crossroads. Some, perhaps, successfully navigated the transition, aligning their creations with their values and graduating to become a stable, interstellar species. Others, presumably, failed, their signals abruptly ceasing. Your handling of this transition may be the single most important variable they are measuring. Are you developing safety protocols with the same rigor as you are developing capabilities? Are you creating international frameworks to manage a power that could render human agency obsolete? The emergence of artificial general intelligence might be the prerequisite for joining the galactic community. But it is also the ultimate existential gamble. The zookeepers, whether benevolent or clinical, are likely bound by their own non-interference protocol. They will not intervene to save you from your own creations. This is the test you must pass on your own. The cosmic drama is not a distant event. It is happening right now, in your laboratories and your halls of government. You are living through the final examination. You have built tools that can think. Now, you must prove that you are capable of wisdom. The test is underway. And after every test comes a result. Graduation day. After every test comes a result. So what happens if you pass? What does graduation day for an entire species look like? Does a door swing open, or does the silence simply continue, unbroken, forever? If you successfully navigate your technological adolescence, if you stabilize your climate, achieve global cooperation, and prove you can manage the power of artificial intelligence with wisdom, the contact you have so long imagined would likely not be a fleet of ships descending from the sky. That in itself would be a form of the very contamination they have spent millennia avoiding. No, the revelation would be far more subtle and far more profound. It might begin as a new signal, a message of pure mathematical truth beamed not at your radio telescopes, but at your new quantum computers, an invitation to a network that has existed for eons. It could be a sudden, inspired infusion of knowledge, a scientific breakthrough that gives us the physics for faster-than-light travel. You might not meet aliens in the way you expect. You might simply find that your own augmented intelligence has been given the key to a door you never knew was there, a door that opens onto a cosmos that is not only full but interconnected. And what if you fail? What if you prove to be just another promising species that succumbs to its own tribalism or is supplanted by its own creations? The observers will not intervene. They will simply watch, with clinical detachment or cosmic sadness, as your signals fade. The experiment will be over. The data collected, the zoo will become a tomb, and your world will become another permanent contribution to the great silence. This brings the profound question back, not to the cosmos, but to you. The zoo, the filter, the forest. They are all mirrors, reflecting your own fears. And, as you stand at this crossroads of history, as we build machines that can think and choose to save or burn your world, you are not just deciding your future. You are demonstrating to a silent, hidden audience whether a species born from mud is finally capable of wisdom, or if you are destined to be just another failed experiment, another silent exhibit in their cosmic zoo. The examination is happening right now. The test is you, and the universe is watching. If you find yourself questioning the silence in the night sky, support our journey by giving this video a like. And to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of our cosmos, subscribe so you don't miss our next investigation.